G'day everyone, welcome to the Drummond Golf YouTube channel. My name is Ross and it's my absolute pleasure to host you today in this video where we've got a special product to introduce. It's the first time that I've seen the i59. Maybe you've checked it out online. You definitely wouldn't have seen it in the flesh, but let me tell you, when you do, you'll be very impressed because it's an exciting looking golf club. It's already had some tour presence, some wins on tour with Johannes Veerman. Today, to help us explain and understand a little bit more about this new exciting club from Ping, the i59, I brought along my good friend, Matt Austin. Matt's in charge of fitting down here in Victoria. He's a great asset to the brand, been part of the Ping family in Australia for a number of years. So there's no one better for me to talk to help us understand a little bit more about this exciting Ping i59 than Matt Austin, caught up by the power of Zoom. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel. It's our intention to bring you a little bit more of this content. Right now, we're just starting here in the Big Swing Golf venue, taking over the sim while there's no one else here in the store to do it nice and safely. And it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for me to be turning the camera on and having a look at some of this great new product. Beautiful. Ping i59. Can't wait to hit it. Stay tuned for Matt Austin. Thanks. Matt Austin, product specialist from Ping. Welcome to the Drummond Golf YouTube. For the first time, I believe. You haven't been on Drummond Golf YouTube channel before, have you?
Not yet, Ross. No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's great to have you. Today, we are going to pry into the world of the i59, the new release iron from Ping. You're going to help us understand this great new product from the Ping company.
So i59 is one of those irons that's very much a tour-driven golf club. We have traditionally made a lot of golf clubs that have been very consumer friendly. What engineers have been able to do more recent times is build more and more forgiveness into that slightly smaller package, which the better player generally prefers. So what they've been able to do now in adding in multi-materials to this golf club is we're able to boost the MOI. So where we had some challenges previously with this model or this area in its predecessor in iBlade, is when we changed from S55, a guy like Bubba Watson wouldn't change because what we were doing was effectively making a blade more forgiving, which defeats the purpose for some of these guys who like to shape the golf ball. But when we introduced Blueprint about 18 months ago to the marketplace, it moved the needle a little further away from forgiveness. And because the gap to I210 is now larger, we're able to build a more forgiving player's iron in between them. So that's where the exciting parts come from. We almost made a niche for this golf club in producing Blueprint.
Okay, so basically that range of clubs now for the better player, let's call it the better players,
yep,
is Blueprint stays.
Yep.
i59 moves into where iBlade was.
Yep, replaces iBlade, correct.
Replaces iBlade. And I210?
I210 stays in the marketplace for the moment. There's no change in that golf club currently.
Okay, so there are three distinct offerings. So the i59, what makes the i59 so special?
So we often run through a mantra where we would talk about evolution, not revolution with our irons. Right? So there are always small incremental improvements as we move through the product cycles to improve the golf club with whatever factors we need to do. Engineers, though, are almost saying this is a revolution in this category of iron. In recent times, a lot of golf clubs or manufacturers have made this style of iron, but it's been built more for ball speed. So it's been either hollow in construction or de-lofted or a different material in the face or some sort of insert. What our engineers have been able to do here with a new process they're calling swedging is they're using a forged body of the golf club, which they then hollow out the inside, add in a material we call Alumacor. All right, so it's basically 30 grams saving of weight in the center of the club. And they then install the 17-4 stainless steel face on top of that. So when they swedge all those three materials together, which is a robotic process at a high frequency, they're able to get a saving of 30 grams in mass, which basically moves this golf club to the MOI of an I210. So we have the forgiveness of a golf club that's nearly twice the size of this club head, but in a much smaller package. That's the big thing that we're kind of focusing on. It's not a ball speed iron, but it's a good solid feel. It's not hollow, but it does give the golfer the performance and feel they're looking for.
So swedging.
Yep.
Can how does that work?
So
How
the
does that?
difference,
So basically, you've got the forged body.
yep,
You've got the
yeah,
what's the grade of steel again? The 1025 steel.
17.4 stainless.
17.4 stainless face.
Yep.
And then what did you call the material inside there?
The inside is called a core. So it's an aluminium core,
An
core.
aluminium core.
Yeah.
And swedging, how does that bring that all together?
So imagine, so crimping and swedging are a similar process. So when you crimp two things together, you do it usually once or twice, and it's done fairly slowly, fairly a gentle kind of movement. What swedging does is it actually crimps those things together, but it does it with a constant motion, robotic vibrations effectively. Once that golf club's plasma welded together as well, we're not going to get any inconsistencies in the manufacturing. So we're not going to get hot spots. We're not going to get any clicky sounds or anything that's loose within there. It's really a matter of being able to have greater control over the manufacturing process to deliver the sound and feel that this golf is looking for.
So when I go and hit this for the first time, what should I be expecting? What am I going to be overloaded with sensorily?
So it's always a bit of a funny one. So we use the word forged fairly liberally, and it depends on where the forging is in part of the golf club. So we had a model called I500, which was in the market recently, which had forged written on the back as well. Now, it was a hollow golf club with a forged face. So we're able to forge the face to the thickness that we need it to be. This golf club, though, is a forged body. All right? Now, when you forge the body, we're expecting that much more muted kind of dull feel from that forging. But when you add in the 17.4 stainless and the Alumicor, it actually gives you a more solid feel. So it's not powerful like an I500 iron, but it's not muted like an I210, which has an elastomer insert in the back. It's right in the middle. So we have sound engineers basically who sit there with headphones on all day, putting in the geometry of the golf club into their CAD computers. It spits out the frequency of the sound, and they're looking to fine tune that. And then we take it to our players and we find out what works best. So it should be a surprisingly solid feel and a forgiving golf club in a much smaller, pleasing looking golf club.
Obviously pitched to the better players. It certainly has that, very sleek top-down appeal. You wouldn't call that a cavity on the back, would you? It's not really a cavity, but it's just, how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's a positioning of weight. Okay, so it's certainly not hollowed out by any means. We want more weight lower in the golf club, obviously, to give it a meaty feel, as well as producing the launch and spin. But it's not as forgiving as, say, a G425 iron.
Okay, so obviously, offset-wise, when you look at the blueprint,
yes,
as the smallest, most blade-like club, when we transition into this club, are we seeing a little bit more offset, just a little bit longer in the head? How do you describe that?
Yeah, so we'd basically say it's progressive. So the wedge and the wedge blueprint to I59 are basically the same, but it does progressively increase slightly with I59, and that does give us a fractionally longer blade. It's still a much smaller shape than what iBlade was. One thing they've changed a little is the bounce and sole design of I59. Again, because we've got that very thin sole, low bounce blueprint iron, we're able to deliver a little bit more bounce and sole radius on the I59 to get it closer to I210. And we find the turf interaction improves for a lot of guys that tend to hit down on the golf ball, as our tour players tend to do, where the club exits the turf a little bit more effectively. Whereas the blueprint can tend to dig in. You get a guy like Westwood hitting a blueprint at 4 or 5 degrees descending, and he's probably not going to get the best performance out of it. Hence, he's an I210 guy. But this one fits in the middle for a Cameron Champ or those sort of players who will be testing these irons.
So a little bit more radius camber on that sole.
So more rounded lead edge. Yeah, a little deeper through the back.
So what you're explaining there is, that rounded lead edge with faster swing speed and better players as they come in. So it doesn't dig. It sort of works like bounce on a sandwich, so to speak. It allows that club to work through the turf and not catch and give you that consistency of strike. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So we're looking for a low center of gravity iron in most of our golf clubs with great turf interaction. For these, it's really important that the golfer gets the look and shape that they're after, as well as the feel. But we don't want that club digging at all. We don't want it slowing down into the turf. We want to make sure it's gliding. We use that term glide a lot of getting the club out of the ground.
You mentioned the term progressive before, and one of the things that always has appealed to a lot of people that we talk to is that progressive nature of some of the iron sets. Using the I210 as an example, with that 3, 4, and 5 iron, just a little bit more forgiveness, and then it gets a little bit more blade-like, a little bit better players-like as you go down the set.
Yep.
Is that the same here in the longer irons versus the shorter irons here?
It's not quite as aggressive, so you won't see the change. Like I210, the 3 iron to the 7 iron almost look like 2 different golf clubs. This one's much more gentle progression up into the longer irons. Where it's been noticeably with the tour player testing in particular, we have a lot of players who have combo sets. So they might go blueprint up to 5 iron and then either I210 or iBlade or I500. That golfers seeming to move into this one set of I59. So they're finding they're getting the longer irons launching and exiting the turf better, but they're still getting the control out of the shorter irons. So that's been really encouraging. So rather than sort of piecing 2 or 3 models together in a set, we're seeming to get it out of one set here with I59.
In terms of players on the Ping roster, who are we likely to see gaming the I59?
Off the top of my head, Johannes Veerman won 2 weeks ago as our first full set win in Europe. Who's a great player. He's killing it, and he'll continue to go well. A lot of guys have tested it. Corey Connors certainly put them straight in. In the US tour, we're not expecting massive changeover until now, which is the off season, where guys will test and possibly change. Certainly your Finaus, Louis Tazens, those guys have all tested the irons. I know Miguel, certainly in Europe, has tested and put a set in the bag last week straight away. He found that the blueprint, he was struggling with some mishits for ball speed. So he uses up to the 2 iron. So anytime he got it out towards the toe in particular, he lost some speed, whereas he didn't lose that with I59. So I expect to see this to be, if it's not 40% of our staff players, it'd be close to it.
I can imagine some of the players that you mentioned there before have been involved in the testing process and the development of this in conjunction with the engineers.
Yeah, most definitely.
Is that correct?
Yeah, most definitely. We do a lot of player testing with our tour players, actually, as well as our staff at Ping HQ. So they come out and go through a whole full player testing program, as well as the roboting testing.
Okay. So when do we expect to see these available? Are they available now?
So they will be in stores now from a fitting perspective. In the US, you'll see them towards the end of this month. October 15 will be the official launch date or availability date here in Australia.
Let's talk about the fitting process. So when someone comes into one of the Drummond Golf stores around the country and wants to be fit, what can they expect in terms of availability, in terms of shafts? Where do we, I can see a new one in my hand. I haven't seen maybe this appear in one other club elsewhere, but this new Project X LS shaft, it looks fantastic. What are the fitting options there in terms of shafts?
Yeah, so there's one slight change where, and again, a lot of this is COVID related. So the Project X LZ will effectively move itself out of the standard offerings and be replaced by the one in your hands there, which is Project X LS. Excuse me, LS being low spin. So it is designed for the stronger player looking for that ball flight that launches out a little higher but doesn't climb. So it tends to give us that really strong effect. And that's the shaft that was being added into the process. The AWT, we still fit mostly in our G models, which is our Ping proprietary shaft. But all of the other options will be available through Dynamic Gold, KBS and Modus, depending on the golfer, depending on what ball flight they're looking for. Obviously, lighter, more flexible shafts should deliver that higher ball flight. The heavier or stiffer shafts will generally deliver that lower ball flight for the faster swinger.
So the shafts that were available in previous models, if you are a Ping customer and you want to maintain that, you can. Just one big change, the Project X LS now replaces the Project X LZ.
Yeah, that will be the stock shaft for the moment, especially in this model, and it will be available in all models later in the year.
I've hit this a little bit in preparation for our chat. It's quite a firm, it's a great feeling shaft. I can see why you would say it suits that higher swing speed, better player, someone looking for that control. It's a great looking shaft. It's got that brushed steel finish, stepless design, obviously that you be synonymous with Project X. So it should be Should be
Yeah,
quite
it's
popular shaft.
kind of giving the golfer that stability they're looking for, but rather than that traditionally being a 140 gram shaft, it fits more into that 120 category, which suits a lot more golfers of yours and my vintage who aren't as express as we maybe used to be, but we're still looking for that solid feel and consistent ball flight.
Still fairly express, by the
Yeah,
way.
you got more express than I am. I don't need to go into that.
I like that terminology. I might use that. I'll pinch that. Thanks.
Yeah,
I am sub-express.
Sub-express is a good term.
Sub-express. I can't wait. I can't wait to hit it a little bit more in the simulator here, which we might do after our chat. It looks fantastic. It just looks like a beautiful. Is that a hydropearl finish on there?
It is a hydropearl finish, so much like the majority of our irons now within the program. Hydropearl being moisture moving, so we're able to make sure we get the capture on the golf ball in all conditions, be it grassy or wet conditions, to keep spin consistent.
I guess that's what the better players are looking for. They're looking for consistency in spin, so they, don't step up to a shot and get a missed distance, don't lose ball speed. It is one of the biggest reducers of spin and control, matter between the ball and the club face. So hydropearl dispersing the water, dispersing other agents much more effectively.
There's been an addition on there of what we call micromax grooves. All right, so if you notice on the face there, and there are more grooves, so they've added 4 grooves to the face of the iron, and the idea being same as the tread on a tire, as you know, with your motorsport background, etc. It moves material away. So the more material you can move away, the better grip you're going to get. All right. So out of conditions that are just normal fairway, grooves don't make that much difference. But as soon as you get away from the fairway or dirt or sand, that's when you notice a big difference in performance.
Okay. Well, unless there's anything else, mate, that's a great little introduction to the I59. Give it a hit. Looking forward to it. Let's keep going. I'll see if I can. What should I try and do? Tell me. Give me a challenge. Give me a challenge. Should I?
Give you a challenge.
Give me a challenge. Do you want me to? What should I do?
What I would like to see for you out of this iron is maybe hit a couple of shots suboptimally. So whether they're a little thin or a little towards the toe, and just see what sort of degradation you get on ball speed. We'd like to think that that's going to be a little closer to your good shot than say what it would be with Blueprint.
Okay. Well, I will try and do that. And I
know it's hard for you to miss hit it, Ross, but just give it a try.
No. That's sub-express.
Sub-express.
No, we'll do that. We'll try and get some data there. But I'm certainly looking forward to giving this a bit of a hit and seeing how it performs for me. It's a great looking club. All I can say. First time seeing it today. Just sort of grab you while you're sitting there in front of that beautiful Ping vault there. What a wonderful selection of putters.
Good image, this one. Yeah, especially Westy's there. I don't reckon there'd be 2 the same. He rotates those putters pretty quickly. So there's lots of different shapes.
Mate, thanks for joining me for the first time today on your first time on this Drummond Golf new initiative, the YouTube channel. We're trying to, bring a little bit more information to the world of YouTube, to the world of Drummond Golf, to all of our clients that are out there. So, thanks for tuning in. If you have, I actually, don't know how to do this. Like, share, subscribe. I feel like Rick Shields or one of those guys. But I guess if you want the information in your inbox when we do release new videos, like the one that we're going to do today with Matt, you do have to subscribe. So where to subscribe. Smash that like button. Oh, geez, I didn't ever think that I'd be saying that to a camera. Smash that like button. Matt, thanks for joining me, mate.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Ross.
No worries. Appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate.
So I've taken over the Big Swing Golf Centre. I've borrowed one of the simulators here while no one else is in the store to make a couple of these videos. PING I59. It's a sensational looking golf club. It's I like this thin top line. I like this very sleek back design, sort of almost cavity with the weight down low. I can't wait to hit it, to be honest. It's a special day when a new Ping turns up and you get to hit it for the first time. This is the fitting club. It's not due for release, as you might have heard Matt say. Maybe until October we won't see this. So it's always exciting when you get to hit the Ping for the first time. Can't wait to do that. Let's get stuck in. I've said that again. Someone else is stuck in. Did someone else get stuck in? I think they do. Might have to find a new line. Okay, so we've heard from Matt about the I59. Let's give it a hit, see some of the numbers, see how it feels. Can't wait. Yeah, that's 4 or 5 hits there now, just warming up, but it certainly gives you that soft, muted sound. It certainly gives you that smooth feel in this Project X LS shaft. It's not one that I've used because it's a brand new shaft, so we've only just started to see this Project X LS shaft come into this range and maybe a couple of other models in other brands. It certainly feels taut. Low spin, so it's going to help with stronger swing speed players, those people who generate a lot of spin. It certainly feels nice, just straight off the bat. But the feel off the ball, off the face, is what's impressed me with that first 5, and certainly the performance. I don't know if you can see the numbers there. I'm not going to put the numbers up in detail, but 172 yards, we can work that out. 91 miles an hour of swing speed. It's certainly performing pretty well for me. I've taken it off yards and I've put a little green down there at 160 metres. So, that's roughly thereabouts my number with the 7 iron. So, I'll give myself something to aim at. Let's see how we go. Trying to hit a green. It's been a while since I've had to hit a green. So 155 metres total distance there, 154 carry, 90 miles an hour of club head speed, 119 ball speed. I'm happy with that. Thanks for tuning into the video. It's been awesome to hit the Ping I59 for the very first time, and it was great to catch up with Matt Austin, who gave us a little bit more of a detailed insight into the evolution of this new product from Ping. We can't wait to show it to you. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time for another video from Drummond Golf YouTube. My name's Ross. It's been my pleasure hosting you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.